today on the interview elicitation technique. This presentation is brought to you by Brian Yang, Alec Baird, and Dean Hall. In our presentation, we will cover these 5 main areas of interest. To begin, what is the interviewing technique process? Interviewing is a process of communication where 2 or more individuals ask questions and give responses for gathering requirements of a project. Interviews are not done by texting, but by actual face-to-face conversations. These conversations can happen in groups or with individuals, such as the interviewer and interviewee, one-on-one. The interviewing process is the most popular technique for requirements elicitation. There are 3 types of interviews. The first is the structured interview. Within this setting, questions are closed-ended. The conversations should be kept within the context and scope of the project. Because of the structured interview process, data gathered with closed-ended questions are easier to analyze. The structured interview process also allows the interviewer to have control in this setting and allows them to be able to ask questions in a specific order. The second type is semi-structured. Here, you should have some predefined questions, such as closed-ended, that at least set guidelines within the interview. The data collected is still quantitative and easy to analyze. However, semi-structured allows for spontaneous questions or open-ended based on responses from the interviewee. Keep in mind that care should be taken with these types of questions, making certain that they don't stray from the project. The third type is unstructured. This is an informal interviewing process. It's conversational in style with limited control. There are no predefined questions, so the data collected is qualitative. Keep in mind that it's hard then to duplicate the questions in other interviews. Because there is no restriction on scope and context of the topic, this interview type can be time-consuming and lead to what's called the interviewer bias. So why interviews? As the interviewer, it helps you to understand and to discover those various details and aspects of the current or future state of the product or service that is the basis for this project. It helps you to establish a relationship with the stakeholders. There's trust that is gained between you and the users. It also helps you as the interviewer to understand their ideas and their attitudes about the project or the solution. How do you make the interviewing process successful? A lot of this is based on your preparation and a lot on your experience too as the interviewer. You need to make sure that you have the right individuals to interview. And it can come down to the interviewee's willingness and readiness to provide the information. But one of the things you can do is build a relationship and rapport. You can do this by keeping your dialogue focused. Don't waste their time, and let the interviewee share their feelings and opinions. What are some of the upsides and advantages of interviewing? The data that gets collected can be very rich and detailed. And this data can then be used to develop and design follow-on surveys or other usability activities. It also gives you a holistic view of the whole project from the user's perspective. Interviewing is also the most popular process, but it can also allow you to have follow-on, deeper discussions about the project. There are some downsides or disadvantages to the interviewing process. One of those could be having to collect large amounts of data. In other words, having a whole bunch of questions to create a data matrix. Or if you're having to collect data from a large number of people because you need a large sample. Another point is that data sometimes can't be collected in a short time. It takes a little time to collect it and then to analyze it. When would you use interviews and when would you not? We recommend in situations where you need to get a wide overview of the project, or that you can see that some data could help you design some usability activities to follow up with gaining more data. When not to use it would be when you've got a short time to collect it. Interviews take time. And that the other aspect of that is if you need a lot of data, sometimes surveys might be the best when you need a lot. So now you're preparing for your interviews, and you first want to select the type of interview you want. In our example here, we have chosen the semi-structured interview, which contains both closed-ended questions and some open-ended questions. In your preparation, you'll want to define the questions that you want to ask. In our case, we have 4 main questions, but we also have a qualifying question. We want to make sure that we're talking to the right individuals. We want to make sure that they make their own or a group meal at least once per day or more than 3 times a week. Then we know that they're probably the ones that are trying to do some planning on the meals. Then we'll ask our questions. Now, when you're going through and conducting these interviews, there are some steps. So explain what the project is and what you're trying to accomplish and why you would like to interview them based on the qualifying question. Then go straight to the point and start asking the questions. Follow your script that you make. If the interviewee goes off tangent while answering the questions, try to bring them back on or re-ask the question or ask them if they understand what the question is, or go on to the next question. In any case, you want to make sure that you're controlling the situation and the interview time. In this slide, we show the data that we've collected, and in the following 2. As you can see, we have the qualifying question and the answer that we get, which then leads us down the road that we're able to ask the following 4 questions. From here, we can create our data matrix and be able to analyze the data to see what needs to happen going forward.